This one works?
Hi, now it works. Hi everyone, thanks for being here. It's a pleasure. I'm Talita, I work for Chorus One, mostly doing protocols research. And I'm here with Luis. Present yourself.
Sure. Thank you so much for coming. I'm part of the ventures team at Chorus One. I also handle governance. And happy to be here and thank you for joining.
Yeah, a brief presentation about what Chorus One is and what we do. We are validators mostly. This is our main focus, our business. And we are a team of 50 people, globally distributed. And we also do ventures, searching for projects that we really align on to build our partnerships, long-term partnerships. And we also do research. On the venture side, we have participating in around 39 deals with more than $80 million invested in early stage projects. On the research side, we have all our articles available on our website in the most, let's say, challenging and new topics, such as MEV, liquid staking. So also, if you are interested in knowing a bit more of what we do, you can also check our blog. One interesting thing about the research as well is the governance side that Luis also mentioned, because we are very active on the governance, for example, on the Cosmos networks, because Cosmos networks have the whole governance process on chain, so validators need to vote on that, and we are one of the most active validators on the governance side there. What we would like to cover today is that I already mentioned that we are very active on the Cosmos ecosystem, and the Cosmos ecosystem has this similar layout compared to the Avalanche Subnet, that is a modularity system. So we would like to share a bit of why we think that these app chain theses are the future, and also how successful chains handle validators, why it's important to build your validator set if you are launching your subnet, why does it matter, and also the pain points for the networks that we have interacted with, that we have, let's say, seen they struggling with some topics specific. And by doing that, Luis will share what can be applied to subnets from what we have learned, and some tips that you can use when you are building your own validator set. And of course, what we as validators can contribute to your project in case you are searching for validators right now. Now I'm passing the word to Luis.
Yeah, cool. So as you all know, we have been long contributors of the app chain thesis, and for those who are unaware of what it is, it's basically having a specific blockchain for every application. And we're here because we really believe that Subnets and Avalanche have the technology for the app chain thesis to thrive. And of course, these solutions started to emerge after Ethereum started to have scalability and blockchain and block space problems, where you can solve it with the app chain thesis by having your own block space for every application. So the gist of the app chain thesis is that you have full customization full customized stack that you can develop, and of course having horizontal scaling for every different blockchain that you need. You can scale horizontally to create a new app. But what it's important to mention is that the app chain thesis is only starting to thrive because interoperability is very important, and we're only starting to see good solutions like Avalanche, RAP messaging, and IBC in Cosmos for the messaging between apps. So we think that the app chain thesis is ready to take a center space, and I think it's pretty clear just by looking at Ethereum, for example. We're seeing the major L2s embracing the app chain thesis, and For example, Optimism a few months ago rebranded to Superchain, where they took a more horizontal scaling approach, which we think is the way to go. Yeah, and I also wanted to talk about how the best chains that we've seen from the past have handled validators to create a great environment. So first of all, I wanted to talk about why validators are important. And we think that validators are one of the most battle-tested parties in the community and are pretty respected and have also introduced quite a lot of novel technology. For example, ourselves, we can brag about being the first ones to coin the liquid staking term online. But yeah, validators have been super important for the whole crypto industry. And we think that the best chains handle a strategic interaction with validators, right? And we think that builders should use validators for many different things, like testing modules, critical upgrades, governance frameworks. And another cool thing about having full stack customization is tokenomic freedom. By having tokenomic freedom, you can incentivize validators since the start, since testnet, which we think is also very important because they are the ones that are going to help builders find vulnerabilities before mainnet to avoid many different problems in the future. And yeah, as an example, DYDX is moving to Cosmos because they want also to enjoy the full stack customization and to showcase why validators are important. For example, as we know now, the exchange is going to be held partly within the validator nodes, and they talk to us on a daily basis, and it's a new model that it wouldn't be possible without the collaboration of validators and builders.
Great. So the projects that we have seen struggling when trying to decentralize, mostly it falls under some specific topics. That's the one that we listed here. The most common one, I would say, is on the communication side, because when you build a decentralized network, you definitely need to have everyone that operates your network aligned with what you want to do. So if you want to update your network by, let's say, before Friday, you need a quick, urgent upgrade at some hot fix. You need to build your community working with you, and this can be a challenge when it comes to communication side. Like, how do you guarantee that everyone will get that message, that they know what to do and when to do? So communication is something that you need to be very careful. If it is on Discord, on Telegram, email list, I don't know, people are testing different approaches, Slack channels, and etc. Also on the maintenance side, if you write your code and only the core developer, the development team deals with the code, is one thing. When you have hundreds of people that need to interact with your code, it's important to have good code hygiene or a very well organized code repo, this kind of thing. Also hardware. For example, some networks have very specific hardware requirements, and this can be a challenge when it comes to decentralization, because it can be expensive, it can be more challenging to recruit people to run your node. It can be more difficult for you to properly incentivize these operators as well. So an example here is SGX or a specific type of GPUs. And decentralization, as we have, I think that's all about decentralization in the end. We think it's okay if you start your network, let's say, in a more controlled, to build a more controlled environment. So you start with proof of authority. But I think it's important at least to consider in your roadmap how to include the decentralization plan and how you can transit to permissionless, to become a permissionless network, because in the end, that's all of what crypto is about, is to be permissionless, decentralized, and in the end, it will attract more value to your project. It will attract a really good community and make sure that your product will not depend on yourself and the core team, but also it can thrive even if you, I don't know, want to change subject in the future. And the last thing, but not least important, is misinformation or misalignment on the tokenomics, because there are different perspectives when you launch a token. Once you have a token, it's a power, but can also be, I don't know, like a challenge, because you need to properly incentivize your operator nodes, your investors. If you have venture capitalists, they have their own interests, but also the user side. So you definitely need to consider how you properly use your tokenomics to also incentivize validators, if it is with inflation or delegation programs from the foundations, this kind of thing.
Yeah, cool. So Talita mentioned decentralization, and I'll talk about the same a bit now, but we also wanted to showcase a bit what's different about Avalanche Subnets compared to different ecosystems that run app-chain projects. And it's important to mention that the Avalanche consensus and the snowball algorithm can basically scale infinitely. And this brings, for example, different validator profiles. The potential to run validators at home is way higher, which is good for decentralization, but means that we also need very good documentation that's open sourced so that everyone can build and run a validator from home. Something that's also different is that delegation is more competitive, and the staking product itself is less sticky, let's say, because the staking contracts are time-based, so validators have to engage with delegators every now and then once the staking contract is over, which I think is actually good for the community, because there's communication between validators and delegators on a timely basis. Yeah, and also in subnets, for example, there's no established governance framework or mechanism. In Cosmos, for example, you have coin voting, and validators are mainly the ones that handle governance. We think this is good, but we think Avalanche, and especially Avalanche Subnets, can take learnings from this and improve the governance framework to achieve some sort of multifactorial consensus where different parties can vote on different aspects when they're specialized, for example. And yeah, also tooling is pretty much in the works, and we really want to push the community and embrace it to improve the open source community for Avalanche.
Okay, so very quickly, because we are running out of time, some tips on how we think you can assemble the perfect validator set for your project. Try to find them from your target community, because validators will be, in the end, your partners. They are the backbone of a decentralized ecosystem. And they can be ambassadors at the same time. Don't expect them to be your PR department. Have a mix of individual and professional validators, because this is also important. Both profiles have different value to add to projects. And also seek to extract value to grow the network from your validators. Don't use them only as validators. They can bring many other things to the project, to the community, let's say, leveraging their relationships with other high-value node operators or even investors, creating shared marketing campaigns, partnering for content creation, sharing articles, technical articles, education and stuff. You can also use foundation delegation programs or investment to get a buy-in, to make sure that the validators that you want to run your node will be aligned and will participate on your testnet and the mainnet and will partner with you. Also look for tech savviness, as mentioned before, and ask for feedback. Try to reach out early as well.
Cool, yeah. Just to have some closing thoughts, we want to reiterate that we're super bullish on the Avalanche ecosystem and subnets. We really think that what's needed now, thanks to the Avalabs team that has provided all the tools, now what's needed is to contribute in an open sourced manner to the community and to the HyperSDK, so that builders can have also a bottoms-up approach, and anyone can start building from scratch. We collaborate with a lot of teams like Landslide, Gogopool, Saga that are working for this, but we think that even more teams are needed, and we're really looking forward to see new subnets in the future and to help them from a validator point of view. And yeah, I think you already talked about ventures, so I think you also wanted to do a shout out, right?
Yes, so we are here because we are definitely interested in participating in the Avalanche ecosystem. As Luis mentioned, we are already talking to some teams, but we are definitely open to expand our relationships on the Avalanche ecosystem. So please, if you'd like some contribution from us on the advisory side, even on the investment side, and also if you want to have us as your validators, please reach out to us. There's also Irving here. He's also from Chorus One and one of the most knowledgeable person that I know from the Avalanche ecosystem. And we also brought some merch, a special edition Avalanche. Chorus One loves Avalanche merch if you guys want to. So please reach out to us. Let's talk after when you are around. Okay? Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you.